Hello, hello, friends. Welcome back to the Keto Fit Weight Loss Coaching for Women. I am your coach, Jess, and I help women lose weight with a keto diet and a self-care mindset. Today, we are going to be talking all about carnivore, and I am so excited to have a special guest join, Amber Wentworth from Lone Star Keto Girl. She has just jumped on, so we're going to be pulling her in. Here we go. Hey, Amber.
Hey, give me just 1 second. I just knocked my phone right off the stand.
Well, this is an exciting start.
Oh, geez.
While you're
I
getting
swear.
adjusted, I'll just introduce you while we're getting adjusted here. So,
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
hello,
All right. Okay. There we go. Okay. Jeez,
we're
I
here.
didn't have it on there good, and it's like a really tight one, and then I went to push the button and it snap.
That's all right.
Anyway,
You're already
okay.
showing off your fun personality, which is one of the reasons why I'm so excited to have you on today.
How are
So,
you doing,
everybody,
Jess?
I'm doing really good. Thank you. How are you
Good.
today?
Better today. Better today.
Yeah.
Yesterday was rough, but today's better. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. I'm so sorry that you lost your doggy this week, right?
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
right now, my puppy, and I apologize if y'all hear her screaming because I have her in her kennel because she is tearing up everything. So you may hear some like whining. It's
Yeah.
not me, it's her. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. We will pay no attention to the man behind the curtain there.
there
So,
you go.
how's the weather there in the great state of Texas?
It's actually kind of nice. It has just it's like in the 70s, but it's super windy. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
the only thing. But the sun's out. It's actually a beautiful day. It's just kind of a, I guess Winnie the Pooh would say, it's a blustery day. But
Yeah.
it's nice. I like it. It's
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
that in between. So
that's awesome. Same thing here in Virginia Beach. It's going to hit like a high of 70, but it's like in the 60s, kind of overcast, kind of windy. So, enough to wear like a jacket in the morning. I feel like I change clothes 3 times a day this time of year. So,
yeah, I do
yeah.
not like that. I am not a jacket girl anyway. And so, having to do the back and forth thing and the layer thing. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
do the layer thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Well, everybody, as you're tuning in, thank you so much for joining us here today. And I'm really
Yeah.
excited to interview Amber on all things carnivore. I see lots of people joining in from all over the country. Guys, put in the chat, where are you from? Give us a heart. And we're going to get started. So, Amber Wentworth, also known as Lone Star Keto Girl, has been on a keto and carnivore journey for quite a while now, since 2017. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and as the latest and greatest, I checked your website, you've lost 62 pounds, and you've gone from your larger size, a size 24, all the way down to a size 2. Is that right?
Yes,
That's
but
incredible.
let me just say this a little bit.
Yeah.
I've actually, from my heaviest, just for reference for people who don't know me, this was me, and
Wow.
this was at my heaviest. I was well over 245 pounds, but that's the last actual weight I have. But I'm pretty sure I was weighed a lot more. But I have lost half my body weight since then. And
Wow.
some of it was through stuff like Weight Watchers. And
Yeah.
of course, I would start gaining it right back after I met my goal. I'd lose the 100 pounds. And
Mm.
then I would start gaining again as soon as I met that goal because I couldn't sustain it because it sucked. And
Right.
then I would never quite gain all the weight back to my heaviest. So, and then the next time I would catch myself, oh my God, and then go back on, a diet. And then I would
Mm-hmm.
lose the weight again and then just not ever quite gain right, a little bit less each time I would gain before I would go, okay, stop it.
Yeah.
And so this past time, the last big weight loss I had when I went keto was almost 80 pounds. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Still incredible. Yeah. Thank you so much for contextualizing that for us too. Especially, it's encouraging to hear that, for all the people who have probably lost weight and then regained it and then lost it again and have lost the same, however many pounds, however many
Oh,
times,
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I'm so sure so many of us can resonate with that. So, you also have a huge following on Instagram, over 25,000 people. I got to know, like, what has your journey been like with Instagram? When did you start posting and actually sharing about your journey? And, like, how did
Hmm.
you grow this much?
Yeah, this has been a crazy journey, and actually in the beginning it was extremely slow, and I just really did it mainly because when I found something that worked for me that I didn't even know about, I was like,
Right.
I got to
Yeah.
tell people.
Yes.
I got to get it out there, and I don't know how else to do it. So I, started Instagram seemed to be the right platform for this particular thing. I mean, Facebook has some uses, I guess, whatever, and YouTube a little too, but for some reason Instagram just works in this community. And so I just started posting basically my journey and information that I got. And, I want people to know this, because if they continue to do something and it's not working for them, maybe try something different. I kept doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Anyway, so I started sharing that information, and little by little it grew, but it was slow. It was so slow. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And then all of a sudden, I don't know why. I have no clue why. It just started going crazy. And the last, I don't know, 6 months, I've been like, what in the world? So there is no rhyme or reason. I don't know. I'm still doing the same thing. I guess maybe I'm, doing more, and, I've got more information. I'm coaching now, that kind of thing. I don't know, but I don't know. I'll never figure it out. I don't get it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of the secret algorithm. Nobody really knows how it works, but I'm
just
so
when
glad.
You think you do.
It's true. Just get out there and have fun, right?
Exactly.
I mean, and if you're having fun, then you're going to stick with it. And if you stick with it, then you're going to see results. And that applies to weight loss too.
And you have to be real. Yeah, I think that's the problem. Like, a lot of people try to be somebody they're not. And I try to be as, out there and upfront as possible. I mean, of course, you want to tell all your secrets, but I'm pretty open about, various things, and I don't want to lie, and I'm not going to mislead people. And if you ask me something, I'm going to tell you, if it's not too personal, that kind of thing. So, I think that's important, because I think we see so much fake. And don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't, use, funny filters and, do stuff like that. Yeah, but I don't know that's having fun. That's, doing what, makes you happy, whatever. I don't consider that as fake, but beyond that, I just think being real is very, very important, and not, saying you're doing one thing, but really you're doing something else,
Very true. Very true. It makes me wonder how many coaches are out there still promoting something that they're not really doing anymore, just because it's successful, or they're making money off of it or whatever. But you are so authentic, and it's definitely shines through in your following. And I love how you promote other people too. Like, you're always reposting other people and just sharing good information and shining a spotlight on other creators. That's so the opposite of a scarcity mindset. Like, it's an abundance mindset. And I love that about you.
Yeah, well, I love that, because I think there's so many good creators out there that have valuable information. And regardless of what happens with me and, whatever, the Instagram fame, whatever, I don't care. But it's the knowledge. And I don't want anybody to ever have to suffer like I did, if they don't have to. I mean, there was a reason why I went through what I did, and that's why I do what I do. But if I can save one person from having to go through even a fraction of what I did, then, yay. And there are some really, really good people in our community, and like you. And,
Thank you.
And they should be promoted. So
thank you. Well, I appreciate you. Amber, take us all the way back. Like, you've referenced your story a little bit. People, you don't want anybody to suffer as much as you did. So take us back to the beginning. When did you first start to feel uncomfortable with your weight? What kind of messages did you receive? How did this affect you in your life, in your happiness, putting limitations upon you? And just how did you get to keto? Like, what worked, what didn't work? And then how did you finally get into the keto space and carnivore space?
Well, that was a heck of a journey. I'm just going to warn you right now.
Yeah,
but
we want to hear it.
Zip through it here. I first really kind of started noticing that my body was a little bit different than other girls in about the age 10 in fifth grade. And, the other girls were real skinny and they weren't developed. And I started to develop, and somehow that got translated into being fat and abnormal. So I thought there was something very wrong with my body. And that's where I now understand where my first issues started, where that point was that I started questioning, if I was okay or not. And that messes with you mentally, emotionally, and physically. And so from that start, young age, I can remember, God, I was so young, I don't know, maybe 12. And I remember going on a diet with my cousins who were overweight. because I stayed with them for a couple of weeks during the summer. And we did this, what was it, the 9 weenie diet, I think they call it, where one day you eat like 9 hot dogs, the next day you eat 9 boiled eggs, the next day you eat 9 bananas.
Oh,
There was
wow.
1 bathroom in the house. Yeah, that was a fun day.
Wow.
But anyway, so I remember starting then. And then I would also watch my mom, who was continually dieting because she came from a family, a very obese, diabetic, heart issue family, and she didn't want to be like that. So I watched her eat salads. Like, that's why I think I hate salads to this day. I think it's just ridiculous to eat salads, you know. It's like, that is like, I am not a rabbit, you know. And so I would watch that, and I started going on, you know, diets from that point. By the time I was 15, I was full-blown bulimic and anorexic. And I was also abusing laxatives and diet pills and diuretics. And that was at the time where I met my now husband. We just celebrated on the 26th.
I saw the prom
yeah,
photo. So cute.
40 years together. So he's been with me from the beginning. And he even paid for a medical diet for me. So it was one where you go and you have your blood drawn and all that kind of stuff. And then they put you on this very strict, I think it was like, I don't know, 800 calorie diet or something like that. But they monitored you. And I had to have parental, you know, signature. So I conned my dad because my parents were separated. And I knew my mom would be like, no. So I got my dad to sign the form. And my now husband paid for that. At 17, he paid for me to do that not because he thought I needed it, but because I was so emotionally, you know, just not okay with what I look like. He loved how I looked, you know, and well, you saw the pictures in high school. I was not fat. I had, you know, these
you were
things,
gorgeous.
but you know, whatever. And so I, you know, I did that. And then I did like the Slim Fast. I did the Jenny Craig. I mean, good gosh, I did everything out there, all the crazy things too, you know, like the 9 diet, whatever. There was all those other ones that come around, the juice diet, the cabbage diet, oh my goodness. And then I discovered Weight Watchers. I was probably about, I think, 17 when I did my first Weight Watchers, I believe it was. And I lost weight. Sure, I did. It was freaking miserable. It just sucked. And, you know, again, as soon as I would lose the weight, I would start gaining it back again, catch myself, and then I would do the same diet, exact same diet again. But they, you know, improved it, right? They improved it. So the point system got better, right? And mind you, when I was doing it, they had the little book. They didn't have, you know, apps and all this kind of stuff. They had this little guidebook thing. And recipes. And I was all about the recipes. You know, I would go through magazines and pull out recipes and, you know, the Weight Watchers whole thing, you know, and I was big into that. Okay, I did that 3 times. 3 times where I lost 80 to 100 pounds. 3 times. And it was all done with Weight Watchers, okay? So, yes, you can lose weight. Yes, you can. But you can also lose weight eating Snicker bars. So, you know, but the point is I could never sustain it. So I would get to that point where I would be, okay, I reached my goal. Because I reached my goal every single time. Never a problem, ever. I had crazy, ridiculous willpower. Never a problem.
Wow.
But then as soon as I would hit that goal, oopsie, that's when I knew that I was going to fail. I already knew I was going to fail, but I couldn't continue to do it because it messed with my mind. I would cry at night because I was miserable. I would watch my friends be able to eat what they wanted, but because I had crazy willpower, I would never give in. I never gave in, but I would watch them and I would almost hate them because it'd be like, why can you eat that and I can't? But I wouldn't allow myself to do it. So I told myself, you can't. And I didn't. And that's the way I work. When I tell myself something, that's it. And so, you know, even my overweight friends, I would be jealous of them because they had the mentality to where they didn't care, or, you know, you think they don't care. They actually do. But, you know, that's what I had in my mind. And I just couldn't understand that. And I would be just like, oh my gosh. And anyway, so this pattern, good God, it just went on and on. And, the bulimia and the anorexia got really, really bad. When I graduated, I weighed 98 pounds. Now, I'm not a big person. I'm only 5'2",
Yeah.
but still 98 pounds. And I wore like a double zero. Of course,
Mhm.
back then the double zero is way smaller than it is now.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So that was really tiny. And then at that point, I was kind of steady for a while. I was able to deal with the bulimia and the extra anorexia because of my now husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. He found out and he threatened
Mhm.
to tell my mom and have
Mm.
me, put into, whatever you want to call them, those, I call them an institution.
Yeah.
But it scared me so bad that I did what I needed to do, and we were very close. We went to school together. He lived
Mhm.
down the street from me, so he would always check up on me. Okay, and even gross stuff like, "Let me smell your breath."
Wow.
I know, gross stuff, right? But it is what it is, and
Mhm.
it kind of forced me to make those changes that I need, and not everybody can do this. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying that it didn't still plague me, but and it's okay to get help. Absolutely, please get help if you need that. But I was able to do it on my own, well,
Mhm.
with the help of my now husband. But not everybody can, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I just don't want anybody to think that it's that easy, because it's not.
Yeah.
But in my 20s, I was okay. I mean, I kind of was all right. And then when I started putting on a little bit of weight in my mid 20s, right about the time I got pregnant,
Right.
and I was gestational diabetic.
Mm.
Imagine that, when
Yeah.
I was pregnant with my daughter. And so they put me on this very strict diet. But it was one where you ate like every couple of hours, because blood sugar regulation, that's the best way to do it. And
Mhm.
with their recommendations, and I followed it to an absolute complete T, because
Mhm.
that's what I do, and
Right.
I was concerned about my baby. So I did what they said. By the time I had her, I had only gained 11 pounds.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. With her, I'm sorry. That was my son. With her, I only gained 5 pounds. And then, of course,
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy. But the doctor, I mean, I had to go in twice a week, once for a blood draw and once for a doctor visit for my last 2 months of pregnancy. It was such a pain. Anyway, then when I lost the weight afterwards, I had lost a lot of weight. And you know how your organs are all pushed out.
Oh God,
And
yeah.
and then I had lost, actual lost fat weight while I was pregnant. And so I had this concave stomach for the first time in my life. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get pregnant like 10 times, and really be skinny, right? But whatever. But, shortly after, it all falls back into
Yeah.
place and you're like, oh man. And then I started gaining weight, but I got pregnant right away with my son. I was still nursing my daughter. So I had, and I wasn't actually diagnosed with the gestational diabetes with him, but I
Mm.
followed that diet because I was scared. And he
Yeah.
was growing pretty fast. Well, he was a big baby. He was 9 pounds. And again, I'm only 5'2", and I'm not a big person. And
Right.
so after I had him, I had only gained a total of 11 pounds. So, the pregnancies I can't blame. In other words, that's the whole point of this ramble. But then after that, that's when things started happening, because, and I will tell you, I really feel it was because I lost who I was, and I
Mm.
didn't take the time to take care of myself. I know that now. I wouldn't trade anything. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I was a stay at home mom. I dedicated my life to those kids, and I don't regret 1 minute of that. But I also now understand I completely lost myself.
Mm.
And the picture I showed in the beginning, that's what happened to me. And
Yeah.
I got to that point. Okay, that's when I started having really severe health issues. And I didn't want to acknowledge it, and I didn't want to believe it, because I knew it was related back to me being fat. And I didn't want to admit it.
Yeah.
I wore big clothes thinking that would hide,
Mm.
right? And
Yeah.
I avoided the mirrors. And I had this really major psychological thing going on, and I knew it. And it got to the point, it was so bad that I would change the kitty litter, and I would have to rest for, like 30 minutes on the couch from
Wow.
changing kitty litter. And like we used to go to the movies a lot. That was kind of our date night. That's what I love, going to the movies. And we wanted to, sit up higher, right? Do you know how hard that is to climb stairs when you weigh over 245 pounds and
Yeah.
you're only
Wow.
5'2", right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would try to control my breathing so my husband wouldn't know what bad shape I was in. And
Yeah.
so I'm dying inside going like this, and I'm
Yeah.
trying my hardest not to, let that go. And it just progressively got worse. And I had gone to the doctor, and well, the nurse was checking me, and the typical blood pressure, cuffs and everything. And it was something totally unrelated. I can't remember what it was. It was no big deal. And maybe it was a skin something, a rash. I don't even know. But the nurse's eyes got really big, and she told me to lay back and to remain calm. Yeah, okay, sure. And then she went out of the room, and all of a sudden, all these people start coming in the room, including the doctor, and they're wheeling in an EKG machine. They're hooking me up, and they were like, "We need you to be calm, and we need you to take this medication right now. And if your blood pressure does not go down within 20 minutes, you will be admitted to the hospital." And I was
Wow.
like, "Oh my God, Anyway, so that's where I had no choice but to face reality. I had to go to see a cardiologist, and
Mm.
they did the stress test, blah, blah, all that stuff. I was put on four medications
Wow.
for blood pressure. Okay. And then besides that, I was diagnosed with pre-diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
and I had rosacea so bad. And I had struggled with this from, I don't know, probably my late 20s. I started noticing it. I would like flush when I would drink, or I would get
Mm-hmm.
mad. You always knew when I was mad because I would be blood red.
Mm.
Well, it just progressively got worse until I had like these little veins coming out of my nose. I look like alcoholic, my
Mm.
nose was, all red. I looked like Rudolph, and it was embarrassing. It was humiliating. I would wear makeup, but it kind of wears off sometimes. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, like Rudolph, when he put the mud on his nose. Yeah, that was me when my makeup came off. All of a sudden, it was embarrassing. Anyway,
Mm.
so I dealt with that. And then acid reflux. Oh, good God. That
Yeah.
was so horrifying that if I reclined in any way, acid would literally come up in my mouth and I would gag on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had all kinds of issues with that. I was put on Nexium, and my doctor actually told me after we did, rotor rooter, the inside this way, and he said, "You will probably always be on this medication." So I was on
Wow.
Nexium for 8 years every day. Yeah. Okay. So let's fast forward.
Yeah.
And I did go back on another diet. Weight Watchers.
Of
Okay,
course.
typical thing. And I did lose. I think that time I lost like 88 pounds. And so it was all great. Some of the things helped. And then I started. I made my goal again, right? And I started gaining the dang weight again. Duh. And I had gained, I think, I want to say 60 something, 70 pounds. I
Mm.
don't know what it was. And I was done. I was just done. I was like, okay, you know what? I was meant to be fat. I was meant to be unhealthy. I'm going to have to suck it up, deal with it, whatever. I'm going to die
Mm.
early, like, my grandparents did, etc. Okay. I don't know what to tell you.
Mm.
And then my daughter stumbled across something, and this is kind of funny. And some people probably go, "Oh my God." But I stumbled across, well, my daughter did. She had a friend who was selling the exogenous ketones. Okay.
Mm.
And I'd never heard of ketones, never heard of the ketogenic diet, never heard of that. Not even in science
Yeah.
class do I remember ever hearing about this. Maybe it was, and I just didn't pay attention. But so I was like, okay, if my daughter's going to do this, I'm going to just do this little, 2-week thing,
Yeah.
one last time, and then I'm giving up. And I did it, and I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever felt in my whole entire life. I
Yeah.
feel euphoric. I
Yeah.
have energy, my mood, because God, I was depressed. I was so
Yeah.
depressed. And I didn't even talk about all of that, but I had a lot of depression. That was awful too. And, suicidal thoughts too. Not that I ever did it or would have done it, but
Yeah.
I was kind of there. And also, let me just mention this before we move on, because I think this is important. When I was at my heaviest and I was having all these issues, I started hiding, in my house. I didn't want to go
Mm.
anywhere. I didn't want to be seen because I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of, embarrassing my family. I
Yeah.
thought that they were embarrassed to be seen with me. I didn't want to humiliate my kids. So
Yeah.
I had that in my mind. And so I, withdrew more and more into myself. And that's a horrible place to be. Anyway, okay. So
Mm,
I tried these ketones and I was hot. Dang, this is like the bomb, right? I don't even know. Why do I not know
yeah.
about this? What is this? And so I started doing research, and that's when I stumbled across the ketogenic diet. And
Mm,
I was like, what? You can do this with your own body? Get out of here.
mm,
And so I started moving closer and closer to ketogenic till I was full blown ketogenic, and I was in love because for the first
yeah.
time in my life, I was not miserable.
Yeah.
I, I, I wasn't hungry. I wasn't angry, hangry. I wasn't, hating my life. I wasn't hating other people who could eat what I wanted to eat. I didn't
Yeah.
care about the other food anymore. Could
Yeah.
not care less. They could eat chips all up in my face. Didn't care. Ha, whatever.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those, kind of, and that's why I wanted, to get it out there and tell more people about it, because you don't have to be miserable. And hey, if the other stuff works for people, go for it. Go for
Yeah.
it. I'm sorry, for me, it sucked. So,
Yeah.
never again will I do that ever. I don't care what research they come up with. You can, no, not living that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, I did the keto thing, and I tried to get the word out as much as I could. I started a website. I was tinkering with recipes because I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I did do that whole reproduce the foods you used to love thing. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I did that. I absolutely did that. And I did the artificial sweeteners and stuff like that. I did that. I still have the recipes up on my website, and they're
Hmm.
darn good recipes, whatever. But then after getting closer to the 2 year mark of being on keto, I had kind of weeded out a lot of that. I really didn't eat as much of the sweets every once in a while, maybe for, I don't know, Thanksgiving or something. And I stopped the fat bombs, all that
Yeah.
stuff that you do, whatever. And I was pretty clean keto by the end. And then I had a friend who kept pestering me saying, you're going to end up carnivore. And I thought, well, you know what? If I'm going to be advocating for this way of life, I need to know all spectrums. I already know the
Mm,
low carb spectrum. Let's go all the way to the other side. So I did the 30-day challenge, and
mm,
good God, it was easy and
mm-hmm.
simple. And all my digestive issues went completely away, which I didn't even
Yeah.
mention that. Good Lord. That was rough. From the age of 3 on, even in keto, even though it was better, I had digestive issues like
Mm,
major constipation
mm-hmm.
and gas, bloating, and pain. Sometimes pain so bad I would go to my knees. And I did the whole fiber
Mm,
thing, add in more fiber because that's what you're
yeah.
told. That
Yeah.
made it worse. So I
Right.
knew that added fiber like flax seeds and the metamucil, all that kind of crap, whatever, that was not working for me. That was
Yeah.
awful. So I stopped doing that. But I never thought that maybe the fiber in some of the vegetables, because vegetables are awesome for you, right? That's
Right.
the gold standard. Oh my gosh, the best thing in the world. And so I would never think that that would be causing me any issues. So when I did go carnivore, all of a sudden everything went away. And
Mm,
and this was just within days, and I was like, huh. And I had heard other people talk about it, but I never really, whatever. That's extreme, whatever. I love my vegetables, whatever. But
mm-hmm.
I felt so freaking amazing that I was like, psh, I don't need it anymore. And
Wow.
now, I look at vegetables and I'm like, no, yeah, no, they're little pieces of pain. No, I don't need it. And
Yeah.
I'm not bashing it for everybody. I'm bashing it for
Right.
me. So, if
Yeah.
it works for you, yay, go. But it's just not working for me. And not that I couldn't, add back in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fine. And I have actually recently added back in mushrooms. Of course,
Mm,
it's a fungus, but and I don't have any issues with that. And I have
mm-hmm.
no issues with people, adding back in things as they can, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you can heal and you can add back in some things. But
Yeah.
anyway, okay, that was a
Wow.
really long story, but there you go.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that, because I'm sure that so many people that are listening right now can really resonate with a lot of what you're talking about. One thing that I wanted to circle back to is that you said that when you put on a significant amount of weight for the first time, it was when you were a new mom and you felt like you really lost yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm wondering, if you could talk to maybe any new moms that are listening right now, or maybe they're not even new moms, but they're moms and they really are like, yep, that's exactly when it started for me too. Like that whole just kind of like forgetting about yourself entirely, becoming like a total martyr, to put your kids first, like, and then self-soothing, right? With food.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what advice would you give to your younger self? Like if you could do it all again, even knowing how hard it is, what would you have done differently?
That the number one thing is it's not selfish to take care of yourself. That's the first thing you have to understand. And if you don't take care of yourself, you can't be present 100% for anybody else. You cannot take care of them 100% if you are allowing yourself to, go downhill. Look on a plane. What do they tell you to do when the oxygen things pop down? You put it on your face first. That way, then you can take care of other people. So I think that our society has pushed so much on, like you said, this whole martyr thing, like if you're tired, if you're, oh yeah, I got 1 hour sleep last night. Oh yeah, well, I got 30 minutes. Oh, you win. No, it's not a competition. You have to take some time for yourself to self-care. And there is a big difference between self-care and self-soothing. And I was self-soothing, not self-caring. And plus, you're tired, you don't have the time, and you're just eating what they eat, whatever, and shoving food in your face. You're going by grabbing food from fast food restaurants. Oh my God. I can't even believe how many times I did that. Oh my gosh. And I took my kids with me, and they had McDonald's, and oh God, but I didn't know what I didn't know. Okay.
Right.
I mean, you have to know that it's not healthy for you, but you don't understand how bad it is for you until it's in your face. And I have a lot of regrets, but I can't change that. So that's why I do what I do, so other people don't have to go through what I did. But yes, you have to make time for yourself. Absolutely. And it's okay. It's okay. And if you have to ask for help, ask for help. And if your husband's around, I don't care if he works all day or not. When he gets home, you got to have some time. You've got to, I mean, you always being responsible for making the dinner, doing the clothes, and, the kids too. That's like 2 full-time jobs. And you don't get enough credit for that.
Yeah.
But it's okay to ask for help. Absolutely.
Did you struggle
Those are
with
the 2
that?
things.
Did you have people that could have
No.
helped you, but you didn't ask, or what was it like for you?
No. I actually, honestly, I did have really good help. I had my mom who lived like 5 minutes away from me. And once the kids were at a certain age, I was one of those helicopter moms, so it took me a little while to be okay with that. But once they did, my mom would like keep them on weekends, like Friday, Saturday night, whatever. And my husband and we would go to movies, right? And we would have a little bit of time alone. So that is incredibly important.
Yeah.
But and my husband was great. I mean, he would come home, and I felt kind of bad for him though, because he would walk through the door and the kids would just be like, "Daddy!" And then I would be, and he's like, whoa, just give me a minute, just 1 minute, and then I'll be all there, So while I did dinner and stuff, he would, play with the kids or whatever. So, I did have help like that. But still, I mean, it's still a lot. It's just a lot when you are everything to somebody. And I love my kids. Oh my gosh, I love my kids, and I love my grandbaby to death. But they suck the life out of you.
Literally.
So you gotta, no, they do. Yeah. And so you gotta have some, time to, get that energy back. You gotta, it's so important. And I didn't really understand that. And so I tried to be that martyr, even though, yes, I did have help, and some others don't. I mean, some of my clients, I hear things and I'm like, oh, okay, no, no, that's not okay. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you also mentioned exogenous or exogenous ketones.
Yeah,
So
I always say it wrong. Yeah.
Some people say it one way or the other, so that's why I said it both ways. But what are your thoughts on that now? Would you recommend those to people who are just starting out?
I kind of have a unique attitude about that, because I've done it both ways. And I'm going to tell you, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. Okay. So, and I do think there are certain circumstances where they can really be a good thing, like mental health issues, people who have like a cognitive decline, people who have like ADHD, anxiety, those kind of things. I really think it can help a lot to have the higher ketones in your blood. Yes, you can do it yourself. Absolutely. But there are some people, number one, who just aren't going to do that. Just aren't. And so I do think there's a place for that. And also sometimes it's good as a kind of like a pre-workout, you know, to give you a little bit of a boost for somebody who's highly active and, you know, really needs that extra boost instead of some other stuff they could be doing. But in general, do you need it? No, absolutely you don't need it. But there are circumstances I would say absolutely 100% yes, do it.
Yeah.
And if it gets you started and it kind of gets you in that mode where you have this, you know, euphoric feeling and your mood is stable, then you can focus more on your diet. You know what I mean? So it was the catalyst for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, for some people it may be a crutch. It was a catalyst for me. So you have to know yourself, you know, are you going to use it as a crutch and think that that's your miracle? Or are you willing to, you know, do the work when you're able to, you know, like when you're in a good place? Because let's face it, in order to make any change, you kind of have to be in a place where you're ready.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
absolutely. You know. So when you were taking the exogenous ketones, but not eating a dietary ketogenic diet yet, were you losing weight or were you just feeling fantastic or both?
Yes, I was. Yes,
Okay.
I was. Because guess what? Your hunger hormones are being addressed, right? Because you have those ketones. So your hunger level goes down. So you don't, food kind of dulled for me in a sense. And the way I always describe how it feels to be running on ketones, it's like my world was shades of gray. And when I started whether taking the ketones or producing them myself, the world became colorful.
Yeah.
And vibrant and exciting and livable again, you know? So yeah, however you get there, I don't care, you know, whatever it takes.
Yeah. So your journey has been quite a long one. And you mentioned before that you're kind of the type of person that just like, you have a lot of willpower. You're just able to like, just decide and then do it until you know, like you just dig your heels in and go until you reach your goal. Was it like that with keto as well? Or did you have times when you thought about giving up ever?
Nope. Not once, not one time. Nope. I was content to live that way the rest of my life. I even told my husband that, and he was like, he recognized right off the bat there was something way different. Because I mean, good gosh, he was there from the beginning, right? Since I was 15. So you know, he's seen it all, and you know, and he tried to be supportive, and he knew that I would always reach my goal. But then he also knew, just like I did. I knew. I tried to deny it, but I knew it wasn't going to stick. But this, yes, it was like, why would you want to stop? It's like a happy drug without it being a drug, you know. And you don't have to give it up. You don't, it's not, I guess in a way it kind of is addictive because it's just so awesome to feel great, but it's not the same thing. So if somebody could give you a happy pill and it wasn't addictive, it wasn't a bad thing, it didn't cause you any issues, why the heck would you not want it, right? So that's kind of the way I looked at it. And I was never hungry. I didn't care about food, really. I didn't, like, I used to wake up in the morning thinking about food, and I'd go to bed thinking about food. I'd dream about food. Couldn't wait to wake up in the morning to have my yummy cereal and, you know, whatever else it was. Or when I thought I was being healthy, eating the oatmeal and the banana and the skim milk and the, you know, low calorie toast. And,
Yeah. So my experience is very similar to yours. It's so funny, like how many parallels are with our story from childhood and everything. And like me too. As soon as I went keto, like I was just like, this is it. This is going to be my forever lifestyle. And I never looked back. But I do, of course, work with a lot of clients, and I'm sure that you do too, who do go on and off keto the same way with any other, you know, way of eating, like Weight Watchers or whatever, like you had mentioned. So what do you think it is that is tripping people up? You know, they do know what ketosis actually feels like, and it feels really, really great. What makes the difference between somebody like you or me that just never looks back, and then somebody that really struggles? And you know, they'll be on it, they'll do really great, they fall off, they try to come back, on off, on off. So how do you hold space for those clients, and what do you think is really going on there?
I can tell you what's going on there.
I know you'll shoot straight.
Yeah. Well, it's emotional things that have not been dealt with. And sometimes it can be a past trauma. Like, I'm sorry, but what I went through at 10 years old, that traumatized me. Even though somebody else may say, oh, get over it. It was trauma to me.
Mm-hmm.
and nobody else gets to decide what trauma is for you. So there
Mm-hmm.
is the trauma aspect, and that's very, very important. And there's the whole emotional need. Like if you're not meeting your needs, and you talk a lot
Yeah.
about that, there's something else going on. Your needs are not being met. And so you turn to food. And then there's also the addictive property
Mm-hmm.
of carbs and sugar. And if
Yeah.
you don't give your body enough chance to get over that, and to also be working on the emotional element and the relationship with food, it doesn't really matter what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things that have to be addressed. Now, I do believe in using keto and carnivore to help aid in that process,
Mm-hmm.
because by ridding yourself of the addictive qualities, it
Yeah.
allows your body to do what it needs to do. Plus, you're getting rid of the crap stuff that make your hormones imbalanced, and your mood is better,
Mm-hmm.
and your mental ability, your cognitive ability increases, because you don't have that brain fog and you don't have all this other crazy stuff. So it really helps you be able to now deal with the issues that you need to deal with.
Yeah.
And let's face it, I'm gonna almost especially women, men too, but
Mm-hmm.
especially women, almost every client I've ever dealt with has
Mm-hmm.
had an issue that has not been dealt with.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult if you're in this place where you're so jacked up by foods that are not just real great for you, because nutrition is extremely important. It builds you, it literally builds you. And if you don't have that proper foundation, it's very hard to function mentally
Yeah.
correctly, to be able to handle situations. And I think, hate to say this, but what we're seeing in today's world with all the
Mm-hmm.
emotional crazy, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think it goes back to, diet and lifestyle,
Yeah.
because you're not on a good, level ground. And so it makes it very hard to be able to deal with these situations as they come up, stress
Mm-hmm.
as they come up. So yeah, I mean, definitely
Yeah.
there's so many little elements there. It's not just the diet,
Mm-hmm.
but certain diets do help aid in the process of being able to deal with the other issues.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely like a circular pattern, essentially, like the gut brain connection, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
your brain is your decision making tool. And
Mm-hmm.
so the foods that you're consuming are affecting your brain processes and the blood sugar roller coaster and the thoughts that you're having that translate from the blood sugar roller coaster. And you're tired, you're lethargic, you're feeling bloated, you're feeling cruddy, you're
Yes.
feeling ashamed, all of that. And then do you think you're going to make a good decision when you have the next opportunity for the next time to eat? Absolutely not. It's the same thing as like
No.
sleep deprivation or altering your mental state. The foods that you eat are altering your mental state. And I think you really hit the nail right on the head there. Like once we have removed the actual physiological addiction or the chemical and hormonal processes that are happening from eating high sugar, high carb, highly processed foods, once we've removed that, all that we're left with then is our jacked up beliefs that need to change, right? And so a lot of the clients that I work with that tend to, I call them deviations, I don't call them cheats or even treats. I like to just use neutral language, but the deviations keep happening. I find that one of the common mindsets that comes up is they feel like it's not fair that everybody else can
Mm-hmm.
eat normal and
That's the way I
they
felt.
have
Yep.
to eat this special way, and that it's just not fair, and that they
Mm-hmm.
should be able to
Mm-hmm.
eat the pizza or the bread or the chips that everybody else is eating, and be okay. Like these other people aren't gaining weight, why am I the only one that is? It's not fair. And then
Oh
something
yeah.
in us, even though we know it's going to backfire on us, we keep trying to like go down that path to just prove that somehow we could do it, but it's backfiring. So you said you felt that way too?
Oh gosh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would, like I mentioned before, I would go out with my friends, and one of my favorite things to do is go to a Mexican restaurant, have, chips and salsa. Oh, that was my thing. I'm a Tex-Mex girl. I'm from Texas.
Yeah.
That's my thing. And margaritas. Ooh,
Yeah.
that was really my thing. And like I said, I have this crazy willpower, and once I was on a path, bam, that's it. And so I wouldn't even allow a little bit or a chip or no, no, it was a
Yeah.
no. And so I watch my friends do what I love. I would go home and cry. I would cry.
Yeah.
And I would just be like hating on life and kind of pissed off at the man upstairs. Why did you make me like this? Why
Yeah.
can't I do this?
Yeah.
And I think that is a real problem because you have the deprivation mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really look at it, it's like, okay, yeah, they can eat what they want. Okay. But what damage are they doing to their cells?
Mm.
What damage is going to show up later? Are they going to be that older person who has to use a walker?
Yeah.
Are they going to, yeah, they may not have the fat all on their body or whatever, but big deal. Fat is your like safety thing, that you have fat for a reason. Your body
Mm-hmm.
is trying to do something for you. It's trying to protect you.
Yeah.
And I think once you kind of understand some of this and understand that, and you really have to switch your mind thinking.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking I can't have, it's I don't want that poison in my body
Yes.
anymore,
Yeah.
because I know what damage it's done. I
Yeah.
don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the 80-year-old that has to have somebody help them walk. No, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
no. I don't want it. That's not quality of life. That's not worth it to me. So when I
Mm-hmm.
see those foods now, and plus because I'm running on ketones, baby, and
Yeah.
whatever, and I'm satiated. That's a problem. I don't look at food and go, oh my God, I'm dying. I got to have that. I don't care. I just
Yeah.
don't care. And I'm not saying that I never, ever, ever do anything bad, because I do. Okay. I will occasionally, like vacations, I admit it, when I was cruising before crazy happened,
Yeah.
I would allow chocolate martinis. Okay. That's horrible. Okay. Horrible. I knew that. I understand that. I made that choice
Mm-hmm.
consciously. I knew what consequences I was going to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I also knew as soon as I stepped off that ship, I was good to go. I would
Mm-hmm.
go right back to it. And I did every single time. And
Mm-hmm.
even if I did gain a few pounds, it was off within a few days.
Yeah.
So it was, but I know I can do that. Not everybody can do that. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I even forgot what the
Exactly.
question was you asked.
Oh, that's okay. It's kind of like that mindset of like, it's not fair that these other
Yes.
people can do that. So, one thing that's interesting that we tend to assume is like, let's say that you're still overweight, you're on a weight loss journey, right? And you've lost a little bit of weight on keto. It's feeling like it's taken forever. You're not seeing results as quickly as you want. And here's your skinny friend who's just eating whatever they want, living their
Yeah.
life, yada, yada, yada. And you assume that because they are skinny and you are fat, that they feel better than you do. But that's an
Right.
assumption, and actually that's quite not true. They probably feel very crappy after they eat almost an entire pizza and drink all the margaritas or whatever. They do not feel very good. You feel better than them in that moment than they feel, but you assume that because they're skinny and you're fat, that means they always 24 hours a day feel better than you. So
Yep.
I love how you're shifting it to like, I don't want that, because I don't want to actually feel that way. I know what that feels like, and this feels better than that. Even though I'm still losing weight, it doesn't automatically mean that because you're skinny that you're healthier. Like some people are saying, and joining, like skinniness does not mean healthy. These people could be struggling
No.
with blood sugar problems. They could be dealing with digestive issues, all sorts of things, migraines, skin issues. So tell us about the rosacea, because are you
Ugh.
saying that rosacea was related to your blood sugar and insulin resistance?
Well, it is thought now to be kind of part of an autoimmune
Mm,
response.
okay.
I haven't seen any full 100% proof, but they're kind of starting to talk a little bit more about that, and it makes
Interesting.
complete sense.
Mm,
Um, yeah, like I said, I started noticing in my late 20s, and it was just kind of one of those things that my friends made fun of, because they're like, "Oh, you had a few drinks," or whatever,
yeah.
or "She mad now." But it wasn't funny to me because it was embarrassing. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a very uncomfortable thing,
Yeah.
and I am not 100% healed from that. I did really well, and then with the stress, and I have some like stress going on inside my body as well as external stress,
Hmm.
and that's something I'm working on currently. And it's been menopause. God, I love it. But anyway, it's kind of started to increase a little, and so it's one of those things that it. And here's a good point that I think is very, very important. I 100% believe in keto and carnivore for some people, depending on where you're at in the spectrum, but it doesn't mean it's going to cure everything forever.
Yeah.
Okay. There are things that are still underlying that, yes, are influenced by how you eat, yes, and your lifestyle. but there could be other things too. There could be underlying bacterial infections, viral infections, toxins, parasites. There's all these different things that could be going on that you have no clue. And you're not tested for unless you
Right.
specifically ask for that, right? Or somebody knows how to read a lab correctly. So you could have these other things, and they could be laying dormant and kind of not expressing itself. And then you're going along, you're keto, you're carnivore, you're healthy, you're happy, yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, what the heck is going on? So just because you eat a certain way doesn't mean miraculously you're fixed of everything.
Right.
Or that it's going to happen overnight. And that's one thing I think people get so irritated with, is because they hear success stories and they think that their journey is going to be like that. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. You have to take into consideration how much were you restrictive dieting in your life?
Yeah.
What is your genetics? I mean, what current situation are you in right now? How much damage have you done to your body?
Yeah.
You got to take all that into consideration, and you cannot compare two people. We are very bio-individual in our experiences, our backgrounds, what we've done to our bodies.
Yeah.
And so you can't just have a one size fits all for every single person and think that, ooh, I'm going to do keto, and by the end of the week, I'm going to drop 11 pounds. Okay, right. I did. Yeah. But that's not normal. Okay, that's not normal.
Yeah.
And so everybody has to kind of, take things on an individual basis and just relax. This is not a race to the finish line. This is your life. This is your do you want to be 80 and walking with the little walker and having people take care of you? No, you don't. You want that quality of life. And we just earlier discussed, we put down our dog 2 days ago because she was in a quality of life where it was just awful to watch. And she was miserable. She was not enjoying life anymore. And she was withdrawing more and more, and she was hurting more and more. Do you want that? Right. No, who wants that? No, it's just not worth it. It's just not.
Yeah, we don't want to have just a long lifespan, but we want to have a long health
quality
span. Exactly. Yeah.
So you got to evolve. You got to evolve. As things change, you got to change with it. You may have to change your diet. You may have to tweak things. You may have to add things in. You may have to remove things. You may have to, do a different activity. You may have to really work on that stress management. Hello. So, there's things that you're going to have to change. It's not always going to be the same thing's going to work just because it worked for you yesterday.
Totally. Yeah. So before you went carnivore, on your keto journey, did you encounter stalls, and what type of strategies did you have to bring in? Because you make a really good point. A lot of times people see initial success on something, and then all of a sudden you're doing the same exact thing, but it's not working. And that can be infuriating, especially if somebody else is doing the same thing and still seeing progress. So what kind of strategies did you have to bring in even before carnivore, if any?
Okay. Most of the time, I will say, I had a steady weight loss. I mean, a steady 1.5 pounds a week stay. And
that's really
great.
That's
not common. Okay. Just because I had that, my body loved it. I don't know. But, I would have a week or two, I probably had, 3 weeks out of the, 7 months it took me to lose the weight, where I might've gained a little bit. And then there'd be another couple of weeks where I stayed the same. And unfortunately, I still had some issues in my head dealing with, weighing on a scale.
Yeah.
That's very destructive for me. I know that now, and I still can't handle it. So I don't do that anymore. And I will one day, I will soon here, but I know that that's not healthy for me. So I think if you focus way too much on the outside, the, tape measures, the, weighing, the, clothes size, that kind of thing, you're going to really mess up, because if that's your only goal, that's pretty superficial. I'm not saying it's not warranted. I'm not saying it's not a good goal to have, but it is superficial, if you want to say, because that's not really what you need to focus on. What you need to focus on is health. It's get healthy to lose weight, not lose weight to get healthy. So the healthier your body is, the easier it's going to be to not only get rid of this excess weight, it's going to be easier to maintain,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So work with your body, not against it. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
I have done for 40 years of my life. I worked against my body because I didn't understand what my body was doing. I
Yeah.
hated it. I thought it was this, alien. It's like, why are you not doing what my brain's telling you to do? I have a deficit of, 7,000 calories. I should be losing 2 pounds. And you're saying I gained a pound? Oh, no, no, no. You're
Right.
not doing the calculation correctly, And so I would blame my body. But you have to understand your body is this amazing, amazing biological machine. And it
Mm-hmm.
does everything it does to try to counter some of the crap that's happened to your body in order to survive. It
Mm-hmm.
does not care about your hair. It does not care about the fat on your body. It does the things it does as self-preservation. So if it
Right.
needs to, shut off your, follicles so it can put the energy to something else, to heal something else, that's what it's going to do.
Yeah.
And if your body is not getting fed correctly, what it's getting fed is wants to store it into fat. It's a protective thing. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not producing enough hormones that you need, and fat produces hormones, so maybe it's holding on fat because something else is out of whack. So if
Mm-hmm.
your body is not in harmony, these other things happen.
Mm-hmm.
So by correcting that, it makes weight loss way easier.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to struggle. You don't have to struggle. So, yes, diets are a great place to start, but there's
Mm.
so much other to the equation too.
Yeah. I love that you're bringing up that, when I asked you that question, I was kind of thinking of like dietary strategies that you might have chosen, but
Mm-hmm.
I love that you actually answered me that you chose some mindset strategies, which is just to stop looking at the scale because you realized that it was
Mm-hmm.
actually triggering you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I have some clients that do really, really well with like weighing themselves every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I have some
Mm-hmm.
clients that it actually winds up backfiring on them because they're triggered by it or they get so discouraged by it. Same thing with tracking food, like in an app or
Uh-huh.
whatever. Like I actually have some clients that get so triggered by that, or it ends up causing them to backfire because it's like they're not listening to their body. Instead, they're just looking at the app and it's saying like, "Oh, you're under your carbs for the day. So let me go eat a few more carbs even though I'm not hungry, or let me go eat some more fat even though I'm not hungry." And so it's ignoring your body and just kind of like
Yes.
surrendering your will to this app, and that can cause. And then if you go over on the app even by one carb, now it's just shot to hell and you might as well eat all the carbs. Like
Yes.
it can
Yes.
be very triggering for a lot of people. And so
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that you're mentioning, like, if you're noticing that strategy of using the scale every day or tracking with an app is actually causing you to self-sabotage, it's okay to let that strategy go, even though it's supposedly the correct strategy that everybody else finds success with. Yeah, to do
Yeah.
what works for
Well,
you.
yeah. Well, things, we have different triggers, and we have these triggers for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They're when you have a trigger, you have to examine that. Why?
Yeah.
Why are you having this trigger? And I still have to work on things too. I've got
Mm-hmm.
some mental things. Good gosh, the trauma was, it still affects me. I'm so much better, but it's still there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's something you have to work on. It's something so important. But, I guess back to strategy, like I said, I didn't really struggle a whole lot, but I did recognize that the weighing, because at one point, if the scale didn't reflect the work I put in, and like I
Right.
said, I'm crazy when it comes to stuff like that. I am
Yeah.
so strong-willed, and I knew I put in the work. I knew I did right. Nobody's going to tell me I did not do what I was supposed to do. No, because
Exactly.
I
Mm-hmm.
did it to the T. And
Mm-hmm.
I measured everything. I weighed everything. I had, I even underestimated and overestimated, depending on what it is, underestimated exercise, over exercise. I mean, over, exaggerated the food just in case I made a mistake somewhere. And I'm pretty sure I didn't. But, but if and I would see that scale, I would get so angry. It would
Mm-hmm.
ruin my whole entire day. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I would actually physically hurt myself
Mm-hmm.
because my body was something different than my mind, it was
Yeah.
like this alien, like I said.
Yeah.
And so it's such a, I don't know why, but it is such an emotional, thing. And if that's the response you get, stop it.
Yeah.
And again, focus on your health. Focus on doing the things that you know are going to help your body. And the rest will come. The rest will come. You have to have patience. Again, there's not a deadline. I understand, on this date, I'm going to be a bridesmaid in a wedding. Okay, I get that. But is that really that important? Really? I mean, that you're willing to disregard your mental health, disregard your body by doing extreme things that is not going to help your body. If you change that mindset and really think about, what can I do to help my body? What is it that I can do right now? Oh, am I feeling stressed? Oh, maybe I need to just sit down a second and do some breathing. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm utilizing that because I now understand. And, do the things that help support your body. That is the best thing you can do. Because if you're stressed, guess what? Cortisol, and guess what happens when you have cortisol high? You're not losing weight. No, you're not. No, it doesn't work that way. Your body does what it needs to do to protect you. And it don't care about you losing weight. It's going to, do what it needs to do with the cortisol. It's got to do these different things, get more fat so it can shove the cortisol in more cells, so you got to think about these things and understand your body, that it's trying to help you. And, if you just do what's right by your body, then it's going to be okay. It may not happen on that date that you have set. Okay.
Right.
But it will happen, and you're going to be happier, healthier. You're going to have more of a quality life. And does it really matter you fit into the size 0 jeans? When you are happy, you're healthy, you're at a good body weight, your composition is good, your skin looks good, your hair looks good. Does it really matter you're not in a size 0? Does it really? And if it does, you probably ought to look at that a little bit more.
Yeah. I love that you are just emphasizing, your body is never, ever, ever fighting you. It's always serving you. It's always helping you. And I used to say that all the time. My body hates me. My body's fighting me, and I hear my clients say that too. And that's never true. Your body is always fighting for you, not against you. And so I love how you're saying, just get in sync with your body. How can you befriend your body? Ask yourself at any given moment, whenever you think my body is fighting me, ask yourself, how can I help my body? Maybe that's taking a deep breath. Maybe that's eating a different meal at my next meal. You can start anytime. I love that. And also that weight loss comes through health, not health through weight loss, because we have that completely backwards, especially in our society.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
I did that for too long.
I'm really curious now, do you think you will be carnivore forever? And what do you eat on a typical day?
Okay. Well, I am never going to say always. Right now, it suits me because it's simple. I have a lot going on. I keep my 2.5-year-old granddaughter. I have a podcast. I'm coaching. I'm going to nutritional therapy school right now. And I'm about to start another school. I don't even know what the heck I'm thinking, but so I'm doing all these different things, and I know that I want to keep things simple. I eat meat. How easy is that? Most of the time, for lunch, I don't eat breakfast. I have my brewed cow. There's only 1% caffeine. Somebody asked about coffee question. I don't know if they're still in here, but we'll get to that in a second. I meant to bring that back up, but blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I have the brewed cow, and I do put some heavy whipping cream in, but I keep saying I'm working on getting that off. Gosh, dang it, that whipped cream, right? That
so
heavy whipping cream. That's, if you want to call that my dessert, my treat, that's it. Yeah. And I recognize that. So, and I use that for a comfort. I recognize that also, and a routine, and I'm working on that, but okay, whatever. And then for lunch, I have an 8-ounce burger with a little bit of butter, because it's the 80-20, but I put it in the oven. Again, simplicity. I don't have to stand there at the stove and popping grease and messing up pans and stuff.
Yeah.
I just put it on a cookie sheet, pop it in the oven, and then I go play with my granddaughter. And, then it's ready. So anyway, the stuff, the fat runs out of the meat. So I take that off. And so I'll just add butter, because I prefer butter. Sorry, but I do. Kerrygold. And my granddaughter loves Kerrygold butter. Anyway, so we'll have our lunch. And that's pretty much what I have for lunch. And then for dinner, it just kind of depends. Sometimes I'll have another 8 ounces of burger. If we go out, I'll have a burger or a 9 ounce filet. And then usually once, if we're lucky and we can find a good piece of meat, we're picky, we'll have fillets twice a week. Sometimes I'll have chicken. And like I said, occasionally now I've been having omelets, like Saturday mornings or Sunday
Mm-hmm.
mornings. And so that's where I have like cheese, mushrooms,
Mm-hmm.
and like leftover filet or leftover roast, whatever we have, I'll put in there. So I have kind of started doing that. So
Yeah.
for a long time, I didn't eat eggs. They just didn't appeal to me. It's not that I
Okay.
thought they were bad or they affected me. They didn't sound good.
Yeah.
But now every once in a while, like once a week, I'll have like an omelet and some
Mm-hmm.
cheese, which before I didn't have dairy for, I don't know, gosh, over like a year and a half or
Mm-hmm.
so. I didn't have dairy. I just didn't care. And then with the heavy cream,
Yeah.
now I have the cheese, but we'll see what goes with that. But I don't have it very often.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what I eat. And I mean, like I'll do a roast, I'll do, sometimes we have like elk and venison. Not a big fan of lamb anymore. I do like bison. Don't have it very often. Just it's just not easy to get. You have to go to a
Mm-hmm.
specific store and like I said, simplicity. I ain't got time
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
And it's just easy to cook. It's just easy. But if it didn't suit me, yeah, I'll add back in things.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, like I said, like vegetables just don't appeal to me. They just
Yeah.
don't. And it's, and my husband said, it's just because you have that mind of yours and you've decided that it's bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't think it's bad. It just is not good for me. It's
Yeah.
not
You
that
you
I
feel
think,
better without it.
yeah. And it's not that I think, oh, vegetables are bad. You should never eat them. No, no, no. No, I don't care. If it works for you, yay. It hurts me. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I'm sure I could add back in, a little and it would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, why am I going to want to hurt and bloat and gas and all that again? Why? It's
Yeah.
they don't appeal to me. Why am I going to do it just to do it?
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm not really suffering. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Once
but
you get rid of all
if I
that.
needed it, yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly it. And honestly, the simplicity for me is why I'm staying.
Yeah.
And it's, it gives me what I need and I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care about the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if I needed to, if there was some kind of deficiency that, oh, you're really lacking this, you're not eating enough of that within, your meat and eggs
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, dairy, you need, to add in, okay, all right,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the whole stress situation that I'm under, oh Lordy, and my cortisol is really high, so I'm
I'm
struggling a little bit
sure.
there. And plus the whole menopause thing, which that kind of happens at, if you're not, balanced right. And so I started doing California poppy. It's like this oil, this supplement
Mm-hmm.
oil. It's not like illegal stuff, no. And I started that just a couple of days ago. And then there's also what's the name of that tea? There's can't remember the name of the tea now, dang it. It's not just real tasty, but I started doing that to kind of help with my liver to make sure that's all processing. And
Mm-hmm.
also, what was really interesting, and by doing podcasts and stuff, I learn things,
Yeah.
and then I try to apply it to myself too. And I'm like, but I was on Nexium for 8 years. And so those PPIs do bad stuff to you. You
Yeah.
know that you've been hearing a lot about this stuff. And I was really shocked knowing this now that I was able to once going keto, and when I was transitioning off the medication, I did it on my own. I didn't even ask the doctor. I didn't care. And so I started transitioning off, but I did like apple cider vinegar because I had heard way back then that it could be a problem of low stomach acid, which blew me
Right.
away because I'm
Right.
like, then why am I gagging on literal acid? You
Mm-hmm.
know, but now I understand that. But so I did that and I was able to transition off. So I assumed that now my stomach acid is where it needs to be. Maybe it's not. So I started taking some of the HCl betaine,
Mm-hmm.
and just a couple of days ago too, because I kind of got all this stuff in. And I was just kind of experiment because, if you burn, then you just stop taking it.
Yeah.
I'm not burning.
Hmm.
So I'm like, maybe my stomach wasn't where it needed to be. Maybe I was just assuming it because I didn't need the Nexium anymore, but maybe it's
Yeah.
not optimal. And see,
Right.
that's the thing. You can be okay, but not necessarily optimal.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
kind of want to be optimal. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I can see
so
that.
I'm willing to try different things. And I am not married to one thing. I am not one of these, like, this is the only way and everybody has to do it this way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And I think that's part of like one of the mental obstacles that a lot of people have in trying in like, oh, I could never go keto or I could never go carnivore or whatever. But you
Mm-hmm.
don't know how good you could feel until you know how good you can feel. And I love
Yes.
that growth mindset of like, okay, what if I don't actually feel at my best right now? What if I could feel better than this if I just did a little bit of experimentation? And actually, I think that's like really kind of a fun mentality to
It
have and
is.
to just try new things. And I can see that you're doing that, even though you're not doing it quite with your food. You're trying out new teas and you're trying out new
Mm-hmm.
supplements and things like that.
Hey.
I'm the same way. And I want to feel literally as best as I could possibly feel. And like
Mm-hmm.
my family makes fun of me too, because like I tell them, like, one of my primary missions in life is to never have gas again. Like I would love, like anytime if I eat like a vegetable or if I had gas, I'm just like, oh, I literally cannot stand that feeling because I got myself free from that.
Yep.
And when you're no longer gassy every day and it just happens once in a while when you're having a negative reaction to a food, you will just
Yep.
get so angry. You're like, no, I kicked this out of my life. I never want to feel this way again. And like literally everybody else is like, farting up a storm every day. Like it's just like totally normal. And it's like, no, that's not normal. Just because
It's
it's
not
common.
normal.
No, common
Yes.
and normal are not the same things. And so
Yeah.
that does not feel good to me. I don't like that. And I love to live my life as optimally as possible. I love that you're saying that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing about, oh, well, you hear it all the time. Well, that's your body doing what it needs to do. Your body's going to make you uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah. It feels painful. No, I don't like that. No,
I'm
thank
kind of
you.
thinking your body's not doing that on purpose. That's
Yeah.
probably not normal. Maybe
Yeah.
common, but it's not normal, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe you need to, like when I went to, on keto, my digestion got much better.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I'm telling you, I suffered bad since the age of 3
Yeah.
with gut issues, bad. And I was never diagnosed with anything, but then again, I'm not one to go to the doctor to get diagnosed. So there you
Mm-hmm.
go. I probably had, they probably would have labeled me IBS and blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, and then I thought it was so much better because I got rid of the grains, got rid of a lot of the, junk food and crap like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt better. And I thought, this is what digestion is like. Okay.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah.
every now and then constipation, still had gas, but it wasn't as bad. The bloating, didn't really have much bloating. Then when I went carnivore, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, you mean
Yeah.
this is what's normal?
Right.
Wow, I had no clue. So you're right. You don't know what optimal feels like to you. And there can
Exactly.
still be something better. So
Yeah.
why the heck wouldn't you want that? I'm
Yeah.
not saying be perfect. I'm not saying not to have any, bad things. I have drinks on the weekends, when we go
Mm-hmm.
out to dancing. I admit it, but it's not the sugary drinks and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's pretty much tequila, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And that's not good for your body. I know that, but I try to make everything else as optimal as possible, so that the little bit I do choose to do,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to affect me. That's the thing. You got to make choices. And if that's your one bad thing and you rid yourself of all the other toxins and crap, you're
Yeah.
probably okay. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some people who can't. Okay. There's always exceptions. But, eliminate as much as you can. That way, or
Mm-hmm.
if you heal yourself and by going carnivore, you might be able to start eating vegetables that you just love again
Mm-hmm.
because you've rid yourself and healed yourself.
Yeah.
So there's always that. And I think that's what people get so freaked out about is like, I can never, ever, ever have blah, blah, blah again.
Right.
Well, for some people, that may be true. It
Mm-hmm.
may be true. But for a good chunk, you probably can.
Mm-hmm.
After you heal yourself, then you might be able to do that. And,
Yeah.
we're not talking addictive kind of things because that's a whole nother subject right there, because
Yeah.
there's always those people who just can't because it's an addiction and
Right.
it's,
Totally.
like alcoholism or whatever. You can't really keep the substance in your diet if that substance is what you're addicted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's a different
Totally.
story. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I think that a lot of people, that's another reason why they won't even go there at all, is because
Mm-hmm.
they think I'm going to have to do this forever. And they think like, are you kidding me? I could never ever eat bread again, or I could never ever eat sugar again.
I've
No,
said
thank
that.
you. I'm not even going to
Mm-hmm.
even try. But carbohydrate restriction can be a therapeutic way to heal your body. It can heal your blood sugar. Carnivore can
Mm-hmm.
be a therapeutic intervention to heal your gut, and heal the inflammation in your gut, heal your stomach acid, the lining of your gut, any kind of food sensitivities that you're actually having. If you go get like a food sensitivity test done, that is not a life sentence. That is what your
No.
body is currently reacting to because of the state of the dysbiosis in your gut. And so you can go through a healing protocol. Sometimes a long period on keto is a healing protocol. I've healed my ability to process fruits, things like that. Like I can eat an apple
Yes.
now and my blood sugar is 86 after I eat an apple with some nut butter. Like, no, that I
Yes.
never would have thought that that was possible. Like I made peace with it. I was like, I'm never eating apples and oranges or whatever, or pineapple ever again. And I had made peace with that. But my body is healed now and it can actually do that. And I can actually enjoy those things, which at one point I thought, oh, I guess I'm just broken. I'm not a normal person or
Oh,
whatever.
broken.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like,
Yeah,
but
broken.
I love that I had already made peace with it. And then I found healing in my body. And now my world has actually opened up even more. And, I love that you're leaving space for that too. Like, this is what's working for you right now. It actually just
Mm-hmm.
suits your lifestyle really, really well. But also, never say never. Life is long
No,
and,
no.
we're meant to enjoy it. So if
Change.
you're eating a food and it's affecting you negatively, like, don't eat foods that don't love you back. Like, and so,
Exactly.
yeah, that's all
Yeah.
there is to it. And you might find that if you go a period of time and actually heal your body and work together with your body, you might be able to bring that food back in and be just fine. But we think everything is a life sentence and it's not.
Yeah, and the whole
Yeah.
restrictive thing. Let me tell you what restrictive is. Restrictive is weighing over 245 pounds
Yeah.
on a small frame. Restrictive is having to take 4 blood pressure medications and not knowing if your heart was going to explode because it was that bad.
Yeah.
Restrictive is having acid come up in your mouth every time you lay back down.
Yeah.
Restrictive is feeling like your kids are embarrassed about
Yeah.
how you look.
Right.
That's what's restrictive.
Yeah.
Giving up some foods that, hurt you.
Yeah.
Are you going to have a little bit of arsenic because you like the taste of it? I mean, when you know it's poison? I mean,
Right.
if you change the way you think about it, really.
Yeah.
And the other thing I always tell my clients, okay, they've done studies where they show that the amount of pleasure you get from a food is in the first 3 bites or
Yeah.
3 drinks. After that, you're just eating to eat. You're not going to gain any more pleasure from that.
Yeah.
So is 3 bites of a poison worth it?
Mm.
Is it? If it is, okay, I don't know what to tell you. But, you really evaluate that.
Yeah, I love that you're drawing that comparison. And language is important to me. So when I work with my clients, I encourage them not to use the word restriction, but to use the word boundaries with food, because a boundary is keeping you safe and it actually helps you to enjoy your life even more. If we didn't have seatbelts, then we wouldn't be able to drive 80 miles an hour down the freeway and feel safe about it, right? But it actually enables us to live our lives and expand our opportunities when we have certain safety mechanisms in place. And so I look at it the same way with the food choices that you make. Those are boundaries that you
Yes.
set up in your life to actually make your life better, not to make your life worse.
Yes.
But you're right. It's all in how you look at it.
Oh, it really is. And as soon as
Mm-hmm.
you change your mindset, and it takes time, it does. But each time when you're faced with something, you can say, I can have that. You know what? I'm an adult
Absolutely.
and nobody is going to slap that out of my hand. I promise you, they're not going to do that.
Yep.
And, but I choose not to have it. I don't want that because I'm going to, be constipated for a week and my rosacea is going to flare up and blah, blah, blah. So I'm choosing my health over
Exactly.
3 bites of pleasure, because my pleasure is going to come from being an 80-year-old who can take care of herself and not need somebody else to help her walk.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Amber, as we're wrapping up here, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story with us and sharing some of the strategies that have worked for you, the mindsets that you used to have, and how you've been able to transform that, how you help your clients, what you're currently doing. I love just your attitude towards health. And I thank you for teaching us a little bit more about that and inspiring us with that mentality today. if people are interested in working with you, I know you're also a nutrition coach and a life coach. So where can people get in touch with you? How can they learn more and how to start working together with you?
Yeah, absolutely. The best place, since you're already here IG Live, so obviously you have an account. If you're watching this, go to my Instagram, Lone Star Keto Girl, and there is a button that says book now. That's the easiest way.
Awesome.
So if you're interested, or just shoot me a DM if you are kind of on the fence and don't really know what if you think it's going to be helpful. I'm happy to kind of help you out with that and let you know if I feel I can help you or not. Yeah. Can we answer one question before we go, just really quick? I
Yes,
feel
of
really
course.
bad. I don't know if the person is still on here, but they asked, can you have coffee? I'm not sure if they meant, can you have coffee on Carnivore? But if that is what you meant, there are some carnivores, I'm going to tell you what, they will fight you if you try to tell them they can't have coffee. Okay. So there are many people who have coffee, including Dr. Ken Berry. Okay. And he's pretty adamant. He's going to have his coffee. So I think it really kind of depends. If you have an issue where you are super, super, super sensitive, you have some autoimmune issues that you need to deal with, or you have a lot of stress. I remove coffee because I have high cortisol, an issue going on right now. And so I'm trying to remove as many, possibilities as possible. So I switched to brewed cacao. But if it's not giving you problems, you know what? If that's what you do, that helps you. Just make sure you're not relying on that for your energy, because if you are, then there's other problems going on. You need to address your sleep, you need to address your diet, something like that. Don't use it as a crutch. And okay, I know some of us, me included, use it as like a comfort, a routine. And if it's an okay thing, okay, but if it's a destructive thing where you're using it like somebody would smoke, or that kind of thing, you might want to address that. But if you're going to do it, it's best to get a good quality coffee, because a lot of the coffee you just buy in stores and etc., Starbucks, whatever, it has a lot of mold in it, and for a lot of people, mold can be a real problem. And besides, why do you want to put that crap in your body anyway? So get some good quality coffee if you're going to do it. But I mean, if that's what you need to do, if that's will help you stay on track, I'm not going to tell you not to have it.
Yeah, that's such a great answer. Like, do what works for you. Enjoying your life is really important to adherence. And so all of us have our non-negotiables. For me, coffee is a non-negotiable. I have worked with some clients that are like, I'll do keto, but I'm not giving up my wine. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Like, don't let whatever it is hold you back. And honestly, I've worked with a lot of clients who start out with what they think is a non-negotiable, and over time, their grip on it loosens. So don't let whatever it is hold you back. Nobody's going to take it away from you. Nobody's going to rip that out of your hands.
That's right.
You are always in control of what you choose to put in your body. You have full permission at all times to do whatever the hell you want at any given moment. And a lot of times we're just fighting for our own autonomy because it's a fundamental human need. It's normal. That's a good thing. We want to have free will at all times. If you ever feel like you can't do what you want to do, that is just an illusion. That's just the story that you're believing, and it's a lie that's holding you back. You can do whatever you want. If you want to follow 98% of the carnivore rules and have your one little thing that is a non-negotiable for you, that's totally okay. But I love that you are mentioning, like, well, just be in tune with, is this actually harming me or not? So I drink coffee every day. Even if I am doing carnivore, I drink coffee. But one thing that I realized is that I'm naturally kind of an anxious person. I've struggled with anxiety my whole life. I switched to half calf and it's like a whole different world. Like, I feel so much better. And I didn't realize that pumping myself full of caffeine every day was mimicking that fight or flight activated nervous system response that I have dealt with for my whole life because of past trauma and things like that. And so it didn't actually feel good. It felt familiar. And the same thing is true with emotional eating. And so a lot of times we're just seeking to feel familiar. But yeah, so there's half calf. I have clients that drink decaf, and some people are like, decaf is pointless. No, it's not. Like, I've joked around about that too. I'm like, what's the best place for decaf is right down the drain, but no, if that's really going to help you to just have like that tiny bit of caffeine, or the taste is comforting to you, or just whatever, like, do what works for you. It's not dogmatic. It's not religious, none of that. So
we got to let that go. That's just got to go, because you got to figure out what's going to work for you, and just understand the consequences. And if that is so important to you that, then but do the best you can in the other areas or the other foods or the other whatever. Don't have 15 different things that are, toxins in the body or toxic, mentally, emotional.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to where you can get rid of as much as possible so you can have that one non-negotiable, if you
Yeah.
will. And again, ain't nobody gonna take that out of your hand. Okay. Yeah,
That's true.
I dare you to take it out of my hand. It's like, no. Don't you be
Yes.
taking my fillets.
Y'all, if you are not following Amber yet, especially if you're listening to this later on the Self-Care Keto podcast, make sure you jump on over to Instagram and follow Amber. She's at Lone Star Keto Girl. I love seeing her weekend photos of her glittery nails holding some big old chunk of
I
beef.
just did my nails last night.
And she does her line dancing, and she is so much fun. She just shares a huge wealth of information. Check out her coaching options as well. I have checked them out, and I'm like, y'all, you guys need to jump on this because her prices are fantastic. And as she's going through, and it's not going to last forever because she is going through some incredible coach training, and she's going to need to make a living once she's done with all of her training. So jump on this bandwagon while you can. Amber is so fun to work with, and she will help you transform your life. So Amber, thank you again so much.
Jess.
I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me, and I love being connected with you. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely. And if any of my followers are on here, be sure you're following Jess because she is amazing. Love her. We're like soul sisters. Yes. So follow her, the Keto Fit.
Thank you so much, Amber. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too.